VPC related. Okay. So now here we are going to design VPC. Okay. Set 10.0.0/16. Why we chosen 10? Any idea? Why we chosen the 10 here?
Private IPs.
No, no. That is the reserved private range of IPs. Okay. So 10 or 172 or
192.
192 only we need to choose. That is the reason we are going to select those. Okay. So 10 is also is in the reserved range of private IPs. That is the purpose we have chosen. Okay. So once you divide this VPC, what is the scope of the VPC? Scope of the VPC is region level. Okay. Even we have multiple subnets in the region. VPC can be spread across multiple zones. So VPC can be spread across multiple zones. Within the region, we may have 3 to 6 zones, right? A VPC can be spread across the zones. But 2 regions is not possible. Any idea if we have 2 regions, what we need to do? If you have the 2 regions, then what we need to do? So we need to go for 2 VPCs and VPC peering we need to do. So what in which scenario we'll go for VPC peering? If you have 2 different VPCs want the communication, by default we don't get it. Okay, and this I'm going to split into say /16 I use, right? That is the reason first 16 bits are fixed. That means the 10.10 is fixed.
Networking IPs.
Okay, then I'm going to give 0.0/24. That means total I have 65,536 IPs. In that I'm going to use how many IPs here we are going to get? 256. Okay, /24 means 256. Okay, then the next subnet will start from 10.10.1.0/24. This also will take 256. Okay, can you tell one more CIDR block what we can assign to the subnets?
These are like divided like A, B, C, right?
No, no, not like that. Depends upon your subnet you are choosing. So these all the CIDR representation, right? No need of class A, B, C, D like that. Are you able to understand? It's not a CIDR, it's not a classes. Okay, it's a classless way of representation.
Okay.
So as it is like a /16 like this, if you go for /8, there is no class, maybe different classes it may come in that. Okay, but the superset, we have more number of IPs that we are dividing into multiple subnets. Are you able to get?
Could you please explain again?
So we have a superset of IPs. Say suppose here we are going to get 65,536 IPs here we are getting. That we are assigning to subnets. So for that purpose, we are assigning to say here how many IPs has been given? 256, 256, 256, around 762 like that. But still we have more than like 60,000 IPs are still we can use it. Means whatever we have assigned to VPCs, in that range of IPs itself, we are assigning to subnets. Are you able to understand? Say like this, even we can assign more subnets also till that 65,536 are exhausted. So if you are giving like this, still what you can give is 10.10 dot. So this is the last IP. After that, all the IPs are exhausted. So these all will get 256 into 256. That is the total number of IPs is 65,536 IPs. So in this, what is the maximum number of IPs we are getting in the subnet?
256.
256. In this 256, again AWS is going to use 5 IPs. So AWS internally reserves 5 IPs. Then total maximum number of instances or resources we can keep is 251. In each and every subnet, AWS will reserve.
Five IPs. For what reason?
So those all we'll discuss. One is for router, second one is for DNS kind of thing, third one is for broadcasting, fourth one again it's keep for the future purpose. So like this, we have the total 5 IPs have been used. So first 4 IPs and last IP in the subnet. So we'll discuss those IPs. 10.10.0.0 slash, sorry, 10.0. Can you tell me the last IP?
255.
255. That is for the broadcasting. One is for the router IP, one for the network IP, one for the DHCP, like DNS kind of IPs, and one for the future purpose. Final one is for the broadcasting. Okay, so like this 5 IPs has been used. So we can use from 4 to 254 only we are going to get. That is around 251 IPs. Is it fine?
Yes.
Okay, so then we'll make a little complex kind of thing. In the real time, if I use /24, the maximum number of IPs is 251 only. Some clients may tell in the future, in that subnet, I may go for more number of IPs. Okay, so then 10, 10, 0, 0 slash 20 I'm going to use. Mostly the industry standard is /20. Lot of companies are using in the subnet. Okay, so then can you tell me how many IPs will get here?
256 into 2.
No.
512 into 10, 1024 into 2000 change.
No, not correct. Simple formula is 2 to the power of 32 minus
10, 20.
20. That is equal to 2 to the power of 12.
12.
2 to the power of 12 is equal to 4096 IPs. Okay, among these again, how many reserved?
5.
5. So then he's going to use.
Okay, if we go for the same 10.
Come again. Come again. Then can you tell me the next series of IPs? Next series of IPs. Okay, so this will take how many number of rows is, okay, each row assume 256 IPs. Then 4096 will take 4096 will take how many rows? Each row will take 256. 4096 will take how many? 16 rows. So previously it's 256, right? That is the reason one row. Hence 0.0, 1.0, 2.0, like this we given. Now it's already taken 4096 IPs totally. Then that will take how many rows? 16 rows are filled. Then can you tell me the next range of available siders? So here can you tell me is 16 or 17? 16 rows means it's 16 or 17? That is 16.0. Why?
16.
Because it's started from 0. Again, this will take 4096 IPs. Then can you tell me the next range? What is the next range? Slash 32. Okay, so this also will take. Why we went for 4096 IPs or 4091 IPs? Because client said in the future I may add more number of IPs. Okay, and why we are going for multiple subnets in the VPC? Why we are going multiple subnets in the VPC? The zone-wise communication and so zone-wise we want different subnets and public and private subnets we want. So in the same VPC, I want to use multiple zones and I want to use some of the servers as public subnets and private subnets. Ideally, how many subnets are recommended? In a VPC, ideally, how many subnets are recommended? Minimum 4. Can you tell me why minimum we need 4? In one zone, one public subnet and one private subnet. In another zone, also,
On public and on private side.
one public and one private. Okay, so that is the reason it's recommended to have minimum 4. Okay, AWS. second. Yeah, so now I'm able to log into this. So now we need to go for VPC. As of now, we are in which region? Mumbai. So I'll go for VPC. So now here, these all the defaultly what we got. Okay, how many VPCs we got?
Yes, a
One.
perfect is
By
one.
default, AWS will give in each and every region one VPC. What is that meaning of 3 subnets means? What is that meaning of 3 subnets means?
One is public and one is private.
No. In the default VPC, in each and every zone, will get one default subnet. And that subnet is public itself. All the 3 here, the 3 subnets are public itself.
Okay.
In the default VPC. And we got one route table. We got all the 3 are public subnet, right? That is the reason by default we got one internet gateway also. Okay, so without doing anything, these all the resources have been created by AWS itself. We got one NACL, we got one DHCP option set. Okay, but we didn't get one NAT gateway by default. We didn't get. Now I'm going to create one more VPC. Try to understand what are the resources would be created and what is the default range of CIDR we are getting.
16.
No. 172.31 series we are
31,
getting.
31 series. Okay.
172.31 we are getting. Okay. So why we are not choosing again 172? We will get a duplicate of CIDR block. It's always not recommended to have a duplicate of CIDR blocks between the 2 VPCs. That is the reason again we are not going to take 172 series.
This is default VPC, right?
Yeah, that is the default VPC.
No, which you are showing the IP address.
Yeah, this is the default one.
Okay.
So by default, if I go for North Virginia, in North Virginia also I'll get one default. Here also again we got 172 series only. Here why we got 6 subnets? Because in North Virginia by default we have 6 zones. Are you able to understand?
So for each zone, they are giving one subnet.
Yeah, by default we are getting all this. Okay, again I'll move to Mumbai itself. Anywhere we can create. Here I'm going to create one VPC.
How do we know availability zones here?
Zones by default they're giving in the documentation.
Okay.
So each zone how many they have. Say you go to EC2. If you go to the EC2, here you are going to get it. You got it right here. So you go to North Virginia, you will get 6.
Okay.
US East 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F. So mostly they make it a baseline is 3 minimum.
California, I think they are showing
2
two only, right?
only. No, we may have, but they're not enabled those. So minimum they have 3. Default enabled, we can request for more also. Okay, this is the map you can use. North Virginia, how much they have? Ohio, Oregon, 4. California,
3.
3.
Hyderabad.
Hyderabad launched in December 2022, 3 zones. Mumbai 2016, 3 zones. Okay, so just check this one when you have time. And go through what are those wavelength, local, outpost, just go through the documentation. Okay, so now I'm going to create the VPC. I'll go for VPC. So we'll check the VPC in North California, we'll get a confirmation, right? How many subnets there we have, we can see, we can get an idea. So here they're showing 2 itself, but I think North California having three zones. Here by default they're getting 2 itself, but in their global previously I used to get 3 itself.
It's showing 2 only. Some here.
Yeah, 2 it is showing, but they have actually technically 3 they used to have. We'll check that one. As of now, here also subnets also they created 2 only. Okay, so instead of North California, I'll go for maybe again Mumbai. I'm going to create a VPC. Okay, so VPC and more also automatically we can create, but as of now create only VPC. Okay, I'll give ITCM is my project, Mumbai is my region. I'm going to give the VPC. Okay, so while creating, don't go for IPAM automatic. IPv4 CIDR, manually you provide that. Okay, then here what is the CIDR we decided? So 10 dot, this is the CIDR we have decided. And as of now, we are not going to give IPv6. Okay, only IPv4 we are creating.
Remove the space and remove the space.
We're creating the CIDR block here. Okay, so then we'll go what are the resources we got by default by creating a VPC. We created one more VPC, right? Any new subnets have been added? No.
Round table, I think.
Yeah, one route table added, one NACL added. By default for the VPC, we are getting one route table and
Network.
one NACL, network ACLs, network access control list. But internet gateway is not added. DHCP options is not added. Okay, so then all we are going to create now the subnet. Subnets also not added by default. We are going to create our subnets. Okay, so I'm going to choose the VPC is my ITCM VPC. So here we may have 3 zones here. If we don't choose any zones, by default it's going to choose, but I want to choose my zones also. I want to keep this one as 1A, then ITCM subnet 1A I'll give. I'm going to give here private. In 1A I'm going to give as a private. Then VPC CIDR is 10.10. In this range only I need to give here. If I give 10.11.0/24, it won't allow. Okay, because 10.10 is fixed. So only one subnet is created. I'm going to create one more also. Then I'm going to choose the same zone, 1A only. But here I want to keep as public ITCM subnet 1A. Previous one is public we are given or private? 1.0/24 I'm going to give. So here you can see, right,
I think
256. Come again.
okay, nothing.
One is private, one is, these all the names, all are by default happening public or private?
By default, private.
Private. In the custom VPC, all will become private only. ITCM subnet 1B I'm going to use. Here, if you don't choose no preference, then any zone it choose. There is no guarantee it goes to 1B only. Okay, I reserved 2.0 for future purpose. That's not mandatory. You need to give in a series itself. 2.0 I kept for
Okay.
future purpose. All the 4 subnets also, like you can create as a single shot. Just for time being, I'm creating one by one. I think we given private. I'll use public. I'll choose 1B only. 3 already given, right?
Yes.
4 I'm going to use.
Why you not adding the tag?
The tag by default it is coming. You want additional, these are the tags itself.
Okay. And where you are giving name convention?
The name itself is the tag name. Keep it. It's
Okay.
what is the name tag you have given, that would be added here.
Where is 1B public?
Yeah, it's there. Not coming down.
I can create, but this one C also. One more.
No, 4 we created. Names maybe the 3.0 we given. Total we have 4. Is it 1C we didn't went, right? Only 4 subnets we created. Okay. So here, as the name is there, public, private, all are private itself as of now. Okay. So we want to make it 2 subnets at least public. We want to make 2 subnets. We want to make it as private. But all as of now 4 are private itself. All the 4 are private itself. Then I'm going to choose here. So in order to make it public subnet, we want internet gateway. But default subnets, all default VPC subnets are internet public only, right? That is the reason by default we got
one public gateway.
our internet gateway is came by default.
Can create another also.
Yeah, now for our subnet we are creating one more. For one VPC, one internet gateway is required.
Is it chargeable or free of cost?
Depends upon the bandwidth, how much bandwidth we used.
If we are going to create one more internet gateway,
That is how much internet you are going to download from that. According to that bandwidth, they will charge. Not with MB of data, it's GBs of data. If you download, then AWS will charge the money for that. Just to create and then delete that.
create and configuration is done.
Yeah,
then
after
once
that, you don't download GBs of data, right? Hence, they don't charge. For creation, they don't charge. If you download huge data, then they charge them. Okay. So here I'm going to create one internet gateway. So I'll give any name is there. ITCM internet gateway. If you want to Mumbai also, Mumbai I can give. My company naming for conventions. Here already tag that is by default it is coming. Okay. So one internet gateway has been created, right? This need to be attached to VPC. So here in drop down, why only one is coming?
custom VPC it will show.
It's already no. One VPC is already having the internet gateway attached to that.
Okay, by default it is attached.
Yeah, that is the reason no need to attach this. Two internet gateways attaching is waste. Okay, if you have multiple custom VPCs, then you may get that list here. But as we have only one custom VPC, that we got. I'm going to attach. Can you guess those 4 subnets are as of now still public or private?
Still private only.
Still private only. Except for that, we have one important step is there. That is called as route table. Okay, so what is the concept of route table is? So route table is some set of routing rules, how the routing is going to happen on those servers. So how the routing is going to happen on those servers would be redirected by routing rules. Okay, so now here try to understand the routing rules. By default, we'll get 2 routing rules. Okay, so one will have 4 subnets, one will have 3 subnets. Right? Because default route table has been attached, default VPC route table has been attached to 3 subnets. This 4 has been means it's our own VPC route table. Okay, so by default, the route has been attached to all the subnets. What is this concept of route is? So can you tell me what is the routing rule we got? What is the routing rule we got?
Local.
No, 10.10, 10.0.0.0 is our ten dot 10.0.0 is our cider block. Okay, so what is that meaning of local is? So what is this rule? I'll explain. Try to understand.
How many rules are there here for this?
No, we can add how many rules you want. But as of now, by default, this rule is mandatory. Your VPC cider will get a local. What is that meaning is? internally we are going to get one router by AWS. Means a virtual router we are getting. What is this 10.10.0.0 is subnet sider or VPC sider?
VPC sider.
Any IP can communicate with any IP in the VPC. You no need to do any setting using who gives that implicit local router for us? AWS is going to give. So within the range of 10 dot series of any IP can communicate with any IP, even those have been spread across 2 different zones also. So we have one zone in 1A, one zone in 1B, right? Okay, but within the VPC, with the 10 dot series of all the IPs can communicate with each other by default without doing any setting. Okay, that rule we are going to get in the route table. Okay, with that route table, what we are getting? Any IP within that range can communicate with any IP. Okay, even those are spread across. Even those are spread across
VPC range
multiple subnets also.
in
Multiple
same VPC, right?
yeah, in the same VPC. If you have 2 VPCs, then definitely we need to go for
Peering.
peering. But within the VPC, you no need to do anything. This is the default behavior. Is it fine?
Yes.
This rule you understand, right? This rule we can't edit also. Okay, so then we are going to add one more route table or rule. So previous rule is not allowing the internet connection. Okay, so
It's allowing only communication, right?
only within the VPC, the private communication is happening.
Okay. But one routing table having one rule only, right? Then
No, multiple rules. Okay, one routing table can have multiple rules. Depends upon our requirement.
okay.
So I'm adding one more rule. Okay, by default, even if I create a new rule also, new route table also, this 10.10.0.0/16 local, this won't change. Then I'm adding one more rule, 0.0.0.0/0. If this IP comes, use internet gateway, I'm going to add. What is this meaning is, if 10 dot series any IP comes, use internal router. If other than that any other IP comes, use instead of router what we are using, internet gateway we are using. Whenever we are communicating, okay, our IPs are not in 10 dot series, right? So what is
Yes.
that meaning of 0.0? Other than that 10 dot series, any other IP comes, connects through internet gateway. If it is 10.10 series, then connects through
Route table.
yeah, internal local router, not route table. That rules are called as route tables. Are you able to understand? So now I'll create one route table. I don't touch this default route table. I'll create one more route table. I'm giving this as a public route and I'm creating a route table. By default, we'll get only one rule. Say 10.10.0.0. This rule is not edited. I'm going to add one more rule here. Add route. So here destination is any other IP. Target is internet gateway. Save those changes. So here already we created one internet gateway, right? That need to be selected. So can you guess this need to be attached to which subnets? As of now, still, even if you create this route table also, all subnets have been attached to main route table only, because that is by default we are getting. And that's have a rule is only private rule only it doesn't have any rule called zero dot. This route table we created with the public route also. These need to be attached to the subnet which you want to make,
Public.
public. Still those private subnets have main route table only. Are you able to understand? Two subnets having the main route table, those are private. Public having our public route table having two rules of routes. One is 10.10.0.0 local router, 0.0.0.0.0 uses internet gateway. So I'll go to that subnet and I'll confirm once. Whether that's a public subnet or private subnet, how we can tell is, I go to that subnet, I'll see the route table, and by seeing this route itself, I can tell that's a public subnet or private subnet. Can you tell me this is public subnet or private subnet?
Private.
This is private. With the name, we shouldn't tell. This one?
First, it is showing as like
Have two rules, right?
Yeah,
And
two
this
rules.
is public. One default subnet will check. This is the default subnet, right? So here in this default subnet, we don't get 10 dot series. That internal IP is 172 series. Within that range, they can communicate with each other. Can you tell me
This
this
is also
subnet? Yeah,
this is
by
also
default,
public.
all default subnets are public only. You understand, right? Are you able to understand or not? A small confusion would be there. Create multiple subnets. Just explore all these. So 1 to 2 days will have a small confusion. Okay. So then we'll come for one more resource. Already we have security groups. Security groups is the firewall rules at instance level. Whereas SNACL is just like firewall rules only, but those firewall rules are at
What is
subnet level.
ACL full form?
Access control list. Network access control list. This is also firewall only. Say we have apartments. At entrance, you will have one security. In your flat near also, we may have a maybe security grill, all those. Security group is a firewall rules at security group is firewall rules at instance level. NACL is at the subnet level. Okay. So subnet level, if I'm blocking, instance level I'm allowing, then can I connect to that instance or not? At the NACL level, I'm blocking. At the instance level, it means at the security level, security group level, I'm allowing. Then I connect to that instance or not?
No, it is
Yeah, because
stopping
that's
stopping at
stopped.
subnet
Yeah,
level
this
only.
is the second, say initial firewall, external firewall. Internally at the instance level, we have one more firewall. Can you tell me the difference between NACL versus security group? NACL is also security rules itself, but at the
Group level, I think, right?
subnet level.
Subnet level.
By default, we are getting one NACL by default, and all subnets in that VPC are getting that rule itself. But if you go for any default NACL, try to understand here. Inbound rule, complete traffic is allowed. Are able to understand that one? By default, there is no restriction at inbound and outbound. But in the security group, by default, all the inbound traffic is not allowed. Only we are opening 22.3389 HTTP. Which rule you open, only that is allowed. But in outbound traffic, all traffic is allowed. But in the security group, normally we are not blocking anything. If you want, we can block it. What is the advantage of blocking is more security will come. Unnecessary IPs or maybe any hackers kind of IPs, those all better to block at NACL level itself. So ఇప్పుడు మనం అపార్ట్మెంట్ దగ్గర ఎలాంటి వాళ్ళని ఆపుతాము, మేబీ బెగ్గర్స్ కానీ సేల్స్ గైస్ unauthorized persons, we will block it. In the same way, it's better to block even at the NACL level. But by default, what's happening is inbound also, it's allowing the complete traffic. So ఇక్కడ ఒకటి అలో ఉంది, ఒకటి డెనీ ఉంది కదా. సో రూల్ నెంబర్ విల్ డిసైడ్ ద ప్రయారిటీ. కాబట్టి నేను ఇప్పుడు 100లో డెనీ పెడితే ఏమవుతుంది, దట్ విల్ హ్యావ్ ద ప్రయారిటీ. బట్ దట్ స్టార్ ఈస్ ద లీస్ట్ ప్రయారిటీ యాజ్ ఆఫ్ నౌ.
ఈ రూల్స్ 2గా అలో అన్నారు, డినే అన్నారు కదా.
అదే రూల్ ప్రయారిటీ ఉంటుంది. ఇప్పుడు మీరు మీ మేనేజర్ ఉన్నారు, మీరు లీవ్ కావాలంటున్నారు, మీ మేనేజర్ వద్దంటున్నాడు, దేని ప్రయారిటీ ఉంటుంది? So here 100 and star, which rule having high priority? 100 having more priority. 100, 200 లో దేనికి priority ఉంటుంది?
200.
No, 100 only.
ఇప్పుడు వన్ మోర్. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ ఆల్ ట్రాఫిక్ 100కి ఇచ్చారు కదా, ఇది ఇన్బౌండ్ అవుట్బౌండ్ రెండింటి పని వర్క్ అవుతుంది అది.
In outbound rules లో also all traffic is allowed. Inbound rules వేరు, outbound rules వేరు.
ఓకే.
But we have like one rule is there. అది నేను రేపు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాను. ఆటోమేటిక్ గా ఇన్బౌండ్ రూల్ యాడ్ చేస్తే అవుట్బౌండ్ లో కూడా యాడ్ అయిపోతుంది. ఎందులో అంటే NACL లో సెక్యూరిటీ గ్రూప్ లో అలా అవ్వదు. So what is that difference? I'll explain. But we have differences between NACL and security group. 3 to 4 differences అన్నా చెప్పాలి. But can you tell me the primary difference ఏంటి? NACL is at
సబ్నెట్ లెవెల్ నెట్వర్క్.
subnet level. Yeah, security group is at ఇంటర్నల్ సబ్నెట్ లో ఇన్స్టెన్స్ ఉంటుంది మనకు. బట్ ఇన్స్టెన్సే కాదు, ఆర్డిఎస్ డేటాబేస్ అవ్వచ్చు, లోడ్ బ్యాలెన్సర్ అవ్వచ్చు, ఇవన్నీ ఎందులో ఉంటాయి? అగైన్ ఇన్ యువర్ సబ్నెట్ వి విల్ హ్యావ్. ఓకే, సో ట్రై టు క్రియేట్ వన్ మోర్ NACL ఆల్సో. And by default in the VPC, one security group also by default we are getting. So these all the options, explore once. Okay.
Okay.
Tomorrow again we'll revise this. On top of that, we'll go for more components like NAT devices, VPC peering, endpoints. So these all more important for us. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Sure.